This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Thanks to Grant Hall for going on a little bit later than usual here on halftime on a Wednesday morning. We had Takeo Spikes on for about 10 minutes just a few moments ago. SEC Media Days continuing in Nashville. Grant, how are you today? Lots to digest over this week. It's almost too much to keep up with sometimes.
Yeah, I'd like to be in Nashville. You know, I've got a grandson, Andrew Hall, who lives right downtown there pretty much, and his three girls are up here with grandparents. I'm the great-grandparent, so got to spend a little bit of time in a kiddie pool with them the other day. And but it's been interesting. I've digested a lot of this stuff, heard all the coaches, I guess, to date, including Sam, who I think is going to be again on the SEC Network panel at about 11:45, so we got to compete with that here in a few minutes.
Well, what'd you hear from Sam that stood out? We hope to get Coach Pittman on sometime during the 12 o'clock hour. One thing that stood out for me is hearing him talk that he felt like Arkansas was, in his terminology, out-physicaled a little bit last year. It's why they lost so many close games. What has stood out to you from what you've heard from Coach Pittman today? Yeah,
that's part of it. And, of course, we knew about the four down linemen that go into that. I was intrigued that he said, I worked on myself. We're not going to go for it on fourth down as much this year. You know, he got burned a little bit with that, and he's talked about maybe diving into analytics a little bit more. Arkansas is projected to win 6.9 games this year. And I see that they have a 0.5% chance to win the West. So there's no pressure there. But I was intrigued also that he said that KJ will throw more and run less this year. That's Dan Enos' plan. Of course, you got to keep him healthy. But you kind of wonder about that. It's interesting, Phil, when you look back at the Outback Bowl game, and at halftime, basically Sam told Kendall Riles, we need to run KJ more, and I think he ran for 110 yards in the third quarter or something. So that's a big weapon Arkansas has, but they got to be selective on when they use him this year to run.
Absolutely. Western Carolina, Kent State, BYU, KJ doesn't need to be getting hit more than 5 times in those games. And Grant, when you run the ball as a quarterback, if you're running 12, 17 times, I mean, that's 10 hits right there. And then if you're throwing 25 times, that's another 7 hits. 17 hits your quarterback would be getting hit. And that's a lot for running backs. So hopefully they will. It just got to be a little more situational, I think, when KJ runs the ball.
Matt, by the way, I've been noticing the guys have stepped up their suit game, their swag game a little bit in the NIL era, and it kind of made me wonder what did you remember what you wore?
I always wore the Men in Black suit. That's all I ever wore was a black suit with a white shirt and a skinny black tie and
sunglasses.
That's always. That's it.
No jewelry, no diamonds on your watch like they had today.
No, I mean that's for other people. I'm a business trip only guy. Let's just suit it up and let's go get it done.
I can see Matt Jones today, Grant, showing up in skinny pants, one of those kind of hiking up the cuff of his pants a little bit to show some white sock, maybe a message delivered on the white sock. Hipster clothing. I think that 21 years ago, 22 years ago, you wouldn't be doing the hipster thing. Today, I think maybe you would
have the chain wallet. Yeah.
Right. Remember when Dan Mullen showed up and rolled his pant legs so they could see his socks? He wanted to show off the fancy socks he was wearing. These other coaches, I mentioned watching those, and of course Nick Saban was on this morning earlier than Sam, and it was interesting that Greg McElroy said this is his 10th SEC Media Days, I think 9th in the media, and he said for the first time that he could recall, Saban really had no agenda today, and I think Saban is kind of like the cat that ate the canary right now. He's in an unaccustomed position of not being I mean, Georgia's won 2 consecutive national championships, for heaven's sake. So
he's kind of in the shadows, huh? Do you think?
Yeah,
do you think because? Go ahead.
Well, I think it's also interesting that both Georgia and Alabama have 3 quarterbacks, and they're not naming who's going to play. Maybe Carson Beck has the edge at Georgia. Maybe Buckner does at Alabama. But, Matt, that's interesting. I mean, most great coaches want to have that thing settled as soon as possible. and it feels as if they're neither one's that close to naming a starting quarterback yet.
Could that be a little scary for the other teams in the SEC West? If you look at Georgia and what they do on the defensive side of the ball, Alabama wants to be more physical and play defense. And then if you're saying, hey, we don't have a quarterback to really challenge anybody, that means they're going to run the ball and try to punch you right in the face.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny. McElroy said today he kidded Saban. According to him, he said that Saban told him on the set, if we can win with you, we can win with anybody. And then Saban, he corrected that to say, no, what I meant was you're one of the best we ever had at running the team and using the talents of the people around. I mean, that's it, Matt. The team, the quarterback wins the team. Coach Broyles he felt that choosing the quarterback was one of the biggest things, and a lot of times it might not be who the fans thought, but how much of playing quarterback to you was making everybody else around you better, enhancing what they could do.
You're exactly right. Takeo Spikes just echoed that. The quarterback, you can't turn the ball over. You can't make mistakes. You can't get in third and long when it's 3rd and 3. You got to get first downs. That's what comes with the reps, and that's what KJ's good at.
Here is one of the things that Nick Saban spoke about in his session earlier this morning about specifically what you guys are talking about, quarterback expectations.
But expectations, we want somebody to play winning football at that position. Quarterback is a unique position in that you distribute the ball on every play, whether you hand it off, whether you choose the play that we run, whether you hand it off, whether you throw an advantage throw, making decisions in the passing game to throw it to the right guys at the right time in the right place and accurately. So who can do that with the most consistency and be a leader on our team who has an impact on the other players is also important, because quarterback may be one of the most difficult positions to play if the people around you don't play well. So I think that's a challenge for us too, is to get the people around our quarterbacks to play well. So that's a little easier for them to be able to have success at the position when they get the opportunity.
He's describing a game manager. He's describing Greg McElroy, for crying out loud. And we've lauded Nick Saban for so long for changing his approach to offense and winning national championships with a downfield passing attack. This is not this team. That is not this team. And it frightens me, though, too, because this is a coach who knows how to win national championships with a game-managing quarterback. I just don't know if that's the way you win national titles now.
Well, he's won 7 national championships, I think 6 at Alabama, and he says he's still learning all the time. And it was fascinating to hear him talk about how they probably over-relied on Bryce Young last year, but he could do so many things, and they, went big plays and it was time to make big plays. And maybe that limited the development of some of the other guys, and maybe that's why they lost a couple of games. I thought that was kind of an interesting take on everything.
But this is also opposite of what Arkansas needs. Like, KJ is not a game manager. KJ is a playmaker. So it was like last year. Heck, it was like the season before. Much more so last year. You win with KJ on the field. I know you're better at backup quarterback with Jacoby Criswell right now, but this team will win or lose quite often, maybe more often than not, based upon how KJ Jefferson plays. That's way different from what we're talking about with Alabama, which they're just saying, it sounds to me like, hey, just don't lose this game for us.
Yeah. Hey, were you guys, did either of you realize that Sam was a shot put champion in high school?
No, I'm not surprised, though. I mean, just looking, he looks like a guy that could fire something from his shoulder quite a few yards.
And he also, when Arkansas beat Oklahoma in the famous 1977 Orange Bowl game, and lost only one time that year, he was actually for Oklahoma that night. I didn't know that before either. He was an Oklahoma fan, and then he was an Arkansas fan living where he did growing up.
How do you think Sam feels about this offensive line and the new unit that's going to be out there this year?
I think he loves it. And by the way, he's coming up the elevator right now to get on the SEC network. But he mentioned the tackles specifically. Matt rattled off 4 or 5 names there. I think now they've done some rearranging. Limmer at the center and everything. I think he feels pretty good about the offensive line.
Graham, we'll leave it there, okay? Appreciate you hopping on a little bit late today. We'll dig in a little more about, what happens at the British Open next week. So your Cardinals have surpassed the Pirates in the standings, so that's other stuff we can hit on once we're past media days, okay?
Yeah, pay attention to the 17th hole. There's a new hole there, and it's a short hole, but it could decide the championship this week. So I can't wait to see it.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.